Oh, this is Alan's Lonely Bookshelf, and I'm Alan. As you noticed, that I changed the name of my channel. It used to be The Lonely Bookshelf, but nobody knew my name, so I switched it to Alan's Lonely Bookshelf. We'll start a bookshelf tour with this bookshelf right here. And since we're already finished with that one back there, I've had this bookshelf for like 20 years. So we'll start with these books. I just pulled books off the shelf here. And the first book that I've read, you can tell I did tabs in this one. This is God's Crucible, Islam, in the Making of Europe, 570 to 1215. And this is by David Leverin Lewis. This is a very good history of the Islamic world, how they started. So this one, it wasn't Pulitzer Prize, but I don't think he won it for this book. And this one is copyrighted in 2008. This is the first edition. So yes, so I'm on page like 137, picking up pieces at the Rome, and it has a lot of. So I'll be getting back to this. The next two books actually were the ones that President Putin recommended to the governors of Russia to get, and that was both of these. This is The Destiny Bad by Nicholas Berdiev, forward by Boris Yonkin. This is a Cimatron Press book. It came out in 2000 and, well, it was first printed in 1955, and this edition is 2009. It actually doesn't say who the translator is on this, but this is about the Christian ethics. The next book is The Justification of Good by Essays of Moral Philosophy by Vladimir Solovyov. And he won the Nobel Prize for Literature twice. So this one, he was a friend of Dostoevsky and taught philosophy at Moscow University. He lived from 1853 to 1900. So he emerged as a Christian thinker, irrational conviction, and uncommon genius. And this has a profound argument for human morality based on the world's longing and participation in God's goodness. The next couple of books. This is the Four Gospels by Archbishop Avkry, and this is the commentary of the Holy Scriptures, New Testament, Volume 1. Archbishop Avkry was the fourth abbot of the Holy Trinity Monastery in Jordanville, New York. He was born in Imperial Russia before the Bolshevik Revolution and went on to become one of the leading voices in the Russian Orthodox Church, where he served both in Bulgaria and the United States. And this is put out by Holy Trinity Seminary Press. And this one is, and it says here his best known work is the commentary of the Book of Revelation, the Apocalypse, and Teaching of Ancient Christianity. I need to get back into this. The next one is the Selected Sermons of James Durham from Reformation Heritage Books. This is Christ Crucified, or the Moral of the Gospel, and 72 sermons on the 53rd chapter of Isaiah. 72 chapters. 72 sermons on one chapter. And this was, I believe that's the Suffering Sermons passage. I'm not sure. This is edited by Chris Caldwell, who is a member of a church I used to attend. His father-in-law actually is the pastor of the church. And so, Naphtali Press. the 53rd chapter of the book of Isaiah, copyrighted 2017. The next one is, I'm just going to put these back up here. The next one is Robinson Crusoe, Daniel Defoe. Robinson Crusoe was the first book I ever read from front to back. This is by Easton Press, illustrated by Russell Wilson. And yeah, this is genuine leather collection, and yeah, I really enjoy this story. The next two books are, well, this book here is the plays of Anton Chekhov. I read parts of these books, and currently, let me see here, the plays of Anton Chekhov. Yeah, The Cherry Orchard. The Cherry Orchard is a book. There's a book I'm reading currently. It's called, grief, I can't even think of the name of it, but it's based loosely on Chekhov's play, The Cherry Orchard, which is in this book. And this is put out by Harper Perennial, and this is the paperback edition, of course, as you can see, and it's translated by Paul Smith, and this one was copyrighted in 1997. Anton Chekhov's birthday was just the other day, by the way. The next book is Shostakovich of Life. This is by Oxford University Press. And this is by Laura Fay. Shostakovich is one of my, I enjoy that composer. One of my favorite composers, and this came out year 2000. We'll get up here next and do these up at the top. The first one is by St. Philaret of Moscow. Says it's Sermons on the Spiritual Life. And this is by Patristic Nectar Publications. This is copyrighted 2020. So, and here's a table of contents. You have being born again, gratitude to God, fear of God, piety, zeal, poverty of spirit, purification of the heart, concentrating on the day of the Lord, a blessed childbearing, love of work, words of mercy, faith for those who seek to touch Jesus on the Lord's Prayer. Very short, very good introduction. The next one is by Timothy Ware. This is a standard introduction to the Orthodox Church, and it takes says here, it explains Orthodox views of free will, purgatory, the papacy, the relation between the different churches. And this one's by Penguin. And let's see, yeah. It came out in, this edition I have here came out in 2015. Yeah, Timothy Ware, the Orthodox Church. An introduction to Eastern Christianity. The next one is another book by the author of this one, Vladimir Solovyov, and this book is War and Christianity from the Russian point of view. 3 conversations by Vladimir Solovyov, written with an introduction by Stephen Graham. And basically what he does in here is that he plays kind of like an observer watching these people having a conversation. And it's about 3 or 4 people having a conversation. You have a general, a politician, somebody called Mr. Z, and the lady and a prince. You can tell I tagged all this, tagged a lot in this book because it's very good. It's an excellent book because it's let me read you back a little bit. 3 main trends of his economic material: abstract moralism, the kind of humor that's grown rampant in the contemporary society. A hollow moralism, or a meaning with no core, was beginning to develop and soon replace all vestige of traditional values. And that's what's going on currently. As for humor, it's the good, greed, evil, well side disguised as good, this touchstone of society at the turn of the 20th to 21st centuries, precisely what Solio describes as a apocalyptic precursor of the Antichrist. The next one is a book, and I mentioned this before, the charity shop that gives money to rescue dogs and cats here in America, in Texas, excuse me. And I found this book there. This is Oliver Goldsmith, the Vicar of Wakefield. This is I never read this book, haven't read this book before, but it's very unusual because, as you can see down here, it's in German. Wilhagen and Clausen, English authors. It has a description right here which says bought by a path from Germany, 1943, at the end of World War II. 1943, at the end of World War II. It's interesting that the fall of Berlin was in 43. I was wondering how she bought this book. Or did she just take it? This first section is written in German. And then you pass this section here that's written in German. Also give a bibliography of Oliver Goldsmith and Goldsmith's works. And then you finally get to chapter 1, which is written in English. So it's a very unusual book. The next ones that I will probably be the end of this. This book here, I also bought the charity shop. And it was bought by John Neff of West Plains, Montana, in 1923. This is Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson. And this is from the Hearst and Company. The companion books is called. Now, the companion books were basically cheap. What William Randolph Hearst was trying to compete with another publication of books. And I forgot the name of that other publisher. He's trying to compete, but what he did is just cheap material that he used. The paper is very cheap and thin. And also, as you can see in the back here, there was like 20, I guess about 10, 15 blank pages. So it's not very good at all. The next book is missing the dust jacket on it. It's called Whirls and Collision by Emmanuel Velikovsky. The front cover and the back cover is missing. So I read this a long time ago and I really forgot what it was about. 1967 when it first came out. And this is sort of like a written in a kind of apocalyptic style, where he has Here's the contents. I'll read maybe some of this help. Prologue, the origin of the cosmos, planet Earth, mammoths, incredible story, the other side of the ocean, 52 years earlier, the red world, darkness, earthquake, and the moons created the planet, the thermal balance of Venus, the year of 360 days, and the reforming of the calendar. So this is sort of a apocalyptic in style, and but it was a very good book. The next one is, and I should have had this on up there in my Russian books. This is the Journey from St. Petersburg to Moscow by Alexander Rendinsky, translated by Andrew Kahn and Irina Goffman. So this is basically a travel memoir, and this, which I like to read, this is Columbia University Press, and translated in 2020 by Andrew Kahn and Irene Ruffman. So yeah, it's a travel memoir. I'll do two more and then stop. This is The Visit by Friedrich Dermont. This is a play. It's actually made into a movie. And this came out in translation from the German by Joel Agee by Grow Press. This came out in 1986, and this English translation was 2006. This was made into a film. And yeah, the Governor's residence boasts a prompt post quartet, which he visited Cote, which slept here, but following hard times, his factory shuttered, residents living on dough. And so when the prodigal daughter returns to the city, they hope the known heiress will restore going to its past glory. So, and the last one, and the last book on this shelf is by Joseph Conrad. This is Under Western Eyes by Joseph Conrad. Is published by Broadview Press, Broadview Editions, and edited by John Peters. This came out in 2010. Under Western Eyes is compelling and relevant to our own early age of political terrorism. And Conrad struggled to compete at the cost of his own mental health and revolutionary struggles that were integral part of political, social, economic crisis of the decade leading up to the First World War. So, and this is a Joseph. I don't know why I have a glare there. It's unusual. Must be the shiny cover. Thank you very much for watching.